I studied all of Alex Hormozi's content and discovered the one sales technique that quietly made him millions. He discusses pieces of it across different videos, but he never reveals the complete system in one place. It's called the Diagnostic Sales Process. And while Hormozi mentions it very briefly, he never reveals the complete framework until I pieced it together from dozens and dozens of his interviews and case studies online. Now, look at these results. This exact technique took one of Hormozi's businesses from $220,000 to over $2.5 million in recurring revenue in just 18 months. And the craziest part, I'll reveal at the end of this video. If you're new to my channel and want more videos breaking down strategies like this, hit subscribe right now. I've studied all of Hormozi's marketing and sales advice for years, and I create more videos like this all the time. The technique has 3 parts, and I'll reveal the first part right now so you can see how powerful this is. But before I reveal the complete system, I need to warn you about the one mistake that causes 90% of people to fail when trying this approach. I'll show you how to avoid it later in this video. Now, check this out. Here's why this technique is so powerful. The diagnostic sales process completely flips traditional selling on its head. Instead of trying to convince prospects to buy your product or service, you position yourself as a consultant diagnosing their problem. Now, there is still a problem with this type of approach that many people fail to do, so continue listening if you've heard this before. Most salespeople try to fit customers to their product, but Hormozi does the exact opposite. He fits his product to the customer's specific situation. Now, pay close attention to this next part. It's the most counterintuitive element that makes the whole system work. Hormozi's process follows a 3-step framework that I'll break down for you. But here's what makes it truly powerful. It's not just what these steps are, but how you implement them that creates the magic. I'll reveal the first step right now, which is the discovery phase. This is where you use strategic questions to uncover people's pain points and goals. But the second and third steps contain the real secrets that most people miss completely. I'll reveal those after that, along with the exact questions Hormozi uses that transform the entire conversation. Wait, did you catch that? The way you phrase your discovery questions alone could double your close rate. Most salespeople ask surface level questions, but Hormozi's approach digs much deeper. The most surprising thing about this technique is that it actually makes prospects thank you for selling to them. They feel diagnosed rather than sold to, which creates trust instead of resistance. Have you ever experienced a sales approach that felt more like a consultant's diagnosis? Drop a comment while I reveal the exact implementation steps. Now, you might be wondering if this only works in certain industries, and I've seen this work across completely different businesses from high-ticket services to physical products. For example, in service businesses like consulting or agencies, one firm I work with implemented just the first step, the discovery phase, and saw their consultation to client conversion rates jump from 22% to 41% in just 3 weeks. But it works just as well for product-based businesses as well. A SaaS company I consulted with restructured their demo calls using this framework and increased their average contract value by 68% because they were able to tailor their offering to the exact needs their prospect revealed. The key is that this process works regardless of price point or industry because it taps into universal human psychology. People don't want to be sold to, they want to be understood. Now, look at this. I'm going to break down exactly how to implement this in your business, and you can start using it in your very next sales conversation. And here's where most videos would just give you theory, but I'm going to show you the exact questions Hormozi uses that transform the entire conversation. Let's start with step number 1, the discovery phase. This is where you uncover what they really want, not just what they say. The key is asking second and third level questions. When a prospect says they want more leads, most salespeople immediately start pitching. But Hormozi asks, why do you want more leads specifically? What would that allow you to do in your business that you can't do now? This next part might seem too simple to work, but it's actually the genius of the whole approach. Here's a real example of how it sounds. Instead of asking, what's your budget? Ask, what kind of investment were you thinking about making to solve this problem? Notice the difference? One feels like a limitation. The other feels like an opportunity. We're halfway through, and what I'm about to share next is the part that literally tripled Hormozi's average customer value. Step number 2 is the diagnosis phase. This is where you establish the gap between their current state and desired state. The magic question here is, where are you now and where would you like to be in a time frame? Then you quantify that gap. Let me show you exactly how this looks in practice. If someone says they're making $10,000 a month but want to make $30,000, you've just established a $20,000 monthly gap. Now you can position your solution as the bridge to close that specific $20,000 gap. Step 3 is the prescription phase, and this is where the real magic happens. Instead of presenting your standard offering, you prescribe a custom solution that directly addresses the gap that you've identified. The key is to tie your price directly to their desired outcome, not to your deliverables. You're not selling 10 coaching calls, you're selling the bridge to an additional $20,000 per month. Does that make sense? Now, check this out. Here's how this works in a real example. Let me show you how this works in practice. At my web design agency, we've implemented Hormozi's diagnostic approach directly into our clients' websites. One client saw their conversion rates jump from 2% to 6.8% just by restructuring their site to follow this exact framework. We've seen similar results across dozens of clients. Their websites start actually selling for them instead of just looking pretty. The key takeaway here is that the diagnostic approach works just as well online as it does in person. Now, remember that mistake I mentioned earlier that causes 90% of people to fail? Here it is, and here's how to avoid it. Most people make the fatal mistake of presenting their solution before fully establishing the gap. They get excited and they jump straight into their offering before the prospect truly feels the pain of their current situation. The gap between current and desired states creates emotional tension. So if you present your solution too early, you release that tension prematurely. But if you fully develop that gap first, your solution becomes the obvious answer to relieve that tension. Here are the 3 steps to implement this very week in your business. First, rewrite your discovery questions to focus on second and third level motivations. Don't just ask what they want. Ask why they want it and what it would mean for them. Second is create a simple current state versus desired state framework specific to your business. What metrics or outcomes can you quantify to make the gap crystal clear? Third, restructure your offering to directly address closing that specific gap. Your deliverable should be positioned as the bridge between their current and desired states. Before I reveal to you the script that I use to close 80% of my prospects, I wanted to share with you an important thing. If you'd like to have your website created for you using Alex Hormozi's principles that are in this video and using his best marketing advice, then click on the link in the description to visit my website over at SwiftPress Support. That's what we do all day for our clients all week long. Now, as promised, here's the exact script I use that closes 80% of my prospects. After I've gone through the diagnostic process, I'll say something like, based on what you've shared, you're currently at this current state and you want to reach this desired state that you just mentioned. There's a gap of this amount of difference. Our web design is specifically designed to bridge that gap by bringing benefit number 1, benefit number 2, benefit number 3. And we've helped this number of clients make this exact transition, and we can do the same for you. Does that approach make sense for what you're trying to accomplish? You can use exactly the same script and just customize it for your own business. And you have to customize it because everybody's benefits and things that they're going to say is going to be different. And remember when I promised you that I would reveal the craziest part? Well, when Hormozi implemented the system, his sales team's commission checks doubled in 30 days and turnover dropped to 0 because selling became so easy. The diagnostic approach transformed selling from pushing to helping, which made the entire process more enjoyable for both the salesperson and the prospect. But here's what most people don't know. This diagnostic process is only half of Hormozi's sales system. I've uncovered the exact closing technique Hormozi uses after this process in my video called Selling Like Alex Hormozi, Master Closer Today. Watch it immediately after this or you'll be implementing an incomplete system. The link is on your screen now.